Welcome, my dear students, to another PHMP Lab session. Now, this session covers the basic aspects of the practice of cultivating bacteria. This would be the outline of our discussion. So first, we will discuss the principles of bacterial cultivation and the nutritional requirements for the growth of your bacteria. And I will also discuss the general concepts and phases of culture media and the different classifications, functions, and also the commonly used culture media in the micro laboratory. We will also discuss the environmental factors influencing the growth of your bacteria in vitro in the laboratory. And lastly, I will also discuss the basic preparation or step-by-step procedure of the preparation of culture media and determination of the cell numbers of your bacteria. Let's now start on the principles of bacterial cultivation. Now, in terms of definition, bacterial cultivation is the process of growing microorganisms in culture by taking your bacteria from the infection site. So, this is by means of specimen collection and then growing them in the artificial environment in the laboratory. Now, cultivation can also be called as culturing or isolation of your bacteria. Now, one of the main purpose of bacterial cultivation is to grow and isolate all of the bacteria present in a clinical specimen. But then again, please take note that not all present or not all bacteria which is present in a clinical specimen are all significant. That is why we need to grow them and isolate them and identify what are the significant bacteria that is probably the main cause of the disease or infection of the patient. Now, this is also done, now bacterial cultivation is also done to increase the number of your bacteria po for uh, for the purpose po of identification and an increased accuracy for characterization and other tests like, for example, susceptibility testing. Now, to better understand the general concepts of cultivation and culture media, we must first know what are the basic biomolecules that your bacteria needs in order to support its growth. Now, considering that your bacteria is a living unicellular cell termed as prokaryotes, so it also requires those molecules needed by eukaryotic cells but in simpler form. Now, one of which is carbon, okay, which is the most essential and central atom common to all cellular structures and function. Now, most of the medically important bacteria falls under the heterotrophic requirement. So this means that these bacteria po need organic nutrients to be the building blocks to make other molecules essential to support its growth. Now, autotrophic organisms, on the other hand, is the opposite. Now, another is nitrogen, which is needed to complete the structures of nucleotides and proteins. Now, take note that biologic catalysts known as enzyme, which is essential to metabolism, is comprised mostly of proteins. Now, non-metallic elements like sulfur and phosphorus are also one of the key elements to complete the structures of amino acids, nucleic acid, and your ATP or adenosine triphosphate. Now, metallic elements naman po given above or here in the slide, such as your calcium and others, are also needed by bacteria to perform some activities such as osmoregulation, now to prevent bursting and uncontrolled leaking of the inside contents of the cell, to regulate also some activity of enzymes, no, as these metallic elements function as cofactors for these enzymes, and as vehicles also to transport electrons needed for ATP production. Now, certain vitamins also like vitamin B, no, to give you an example, functions also as coenzymes to serve as an activator of the catalytic or anabolic functions of this biological catalyst. Now, water is also an essential not only to prokaryotic cells like your bacteria, but all to all life forms as it is a medium po for most of cellular processes. Now, most of your bacteria po needs a moist environment for this purpose. And lastly, no, your bacteria definitely needs an active, elaborate system po to process all of these nutrients to produce energy in the form of ATP and to continuously support its metabolism and maintain its life. Now, all of this information is our basis, no, to mimic the needs of your bacteria in vitro. So as to note lang po, no, we most of your bacteria po are chemotrophic, no, meaning that they are dependent on oxidation of chemical compounds like organic molecules and inorganic compounds. While some bacteria naman po are called phototropics um as they get their nutrients or energy, no, in sunlight. Okay, let's now go over with the general concepts and phases of culture media. Now, in definition, culture media or medium are artificial environment for your bacteria to grow. So, your culture media po has nutrients in it, no, or incorporated in it for your bacteria to grow po in vitro. Okay? So, our basis of creating your culture media is based on the requirements, no, of your bacteria to grow, like the nutritional needs that we have mentioned earlier, and also the bacteria or the conditions of your bacteria for it to optimally grow in vitro, such as your pH, no, temperature, and gas requirement. Now, most of your culture media can support fastidious organisms and non-fastidious organisms. So, in definition, again, non-fastidious organisms only requires basic and straightforward nutrients, no, and most of your clinically important bacteria falls under this grouping. Now, fastidious microorganisms naman on the other hand, they are bacteria po that needs relatively complex and special, no, media components for to grow. Now, the manner of transferring your bacteria, no, from the source to your culture media is called inoculation. Now, we will separately discuss the different methods of inoculation of bacteria. Now, what are the evidence of growth po ba of your bacteria in your culture media? Now, for broth cultures po or liquid type of media, now we usually observe for the turbidity of the media. So as you can see here in the picture, na picture A po, in the left most portion, so this is a clear broth, no, indicating no bacteria po is presented. While on the other hand, no, turbidity po naman in the broth indicates bacterial growth. Now on the another picture naman po in a plated media, no. So observation of colonies, no, or a growth of bacteria in a plated or solid media now indicates the presence of growth of your bacteria in a plated media. Okay? So discrete colonies naman po ang tawag, no, if the bacteria po is growing separately, no, to different types of bacteria. Okay, let's now discuss po the culture media classifications and functions. Now, to get an overview po, there are four classifications of your culture media. Now, what are these four classifications of culture media? So first is culture media can be classified according to its composition. Now, also it is classified according to its consistency. Third is it is classified also according to manner of dispensing or distribution. And lastly, it is classified according to its use or purpose. Now, first is the according to composition. Now, your culture media can be classified accordingly as to composition, or you can call your culture media as synthetic or chemically defined medium, or you can also call them as non-synthetic or complex medium. So we will discuss it later, no, in uh in a deeper discussion. Now, according to consistency naman po, this is based on the fact that some of your culture media also can be incorporated with a type of solidifying agent called agar. Okay? So agar po usually or agar po is a type of polymer, no, that acts as solidifying agent in culture media and is not metabolized by growing organisms. So in terms of structure po, it is a type of sulfated polymer, consists mainly of D-galactose, no, 3,6-anhydro L-galactose, and D-glucuronic acid. So it is derived usually po from red algae, no, a type of seaweed. No, kaya po pinili ang agar as a solidifying agent, no? Because of the advantage of your agar. Okay? So what are the advantages of your agar? It has a high gelling strength, so medyo matibay po siya, no, in terms of uh, its physical structure, and it has also a high melting temperature, okay, around 80 to 90 degrees Celsius. It has also it has also a low gelling temperature, which is a very good property, no, if you want to incorporate heat labile components naman in your media. Okay? And it is not metabolized nga po by your organism. Okay? Now, in terms of consistency, your media can be called as solid media. Now, for solid media, now typically it contains 1.5 to 2% of your agar as the solidifying agent. Okay? So you can also call your media as semi-solid media naman if it contains po 0.2 to 0.5% of agar. Okay? So the purpose of semi-solid media usually po is to detect the motility of your bacteria, no, and to allow uh, a diffuse growth of your bacteria po, in your growing in your semi-solid media. Now, semi-solid media also is used for the purpose of growing, no, microaerophilic type of bacteria. For solid media naman po, it is used for the purpose of observing or growing your bacteria po in a solid form, no, in the form of colonies. Now, lastly, you can call your culture media, no, as liquid or broth media naman. So this liquid or broth media naman contains no added agar po. So wala pong solidifying agent po siya. Now, according to manner of dispensing naman po or distribution, you can generally call your media as plated media. No, pag sinabing plated media po, your media po is dispensed, no, or distributed in a petri dish. Okay? To produce a flat, no, flat media, no, and then it has a larger surface area. Now, tube media naman po on the other hand is dispensed in bacteriologic tubes or bacteriologic tubes po natin. And in terms of the types of tube media, according to orientation, you can call your tube media as bot media, slant media, and slant bot media. Now, please take note po, your plated media, according to its consistency, you can only produce plated media using solid media po. Okay? Now, your tube media naman has a wide variety. So, for you to do a bot media type of tube media, you can uh, you can use semi-solid type of media or liquid type of media. While in your slant and slant bot media naman po, the only source of your slant and slant bat media is solid media. Now, this slide po presents a example or an example po of a plated type of media. Okay, so a plated type of media again is a type of solid media dispensed in petri dishes. Okay, the commonly used petri dishes for this type of uh, production of a type of media is your 90 millimeter plates. So typically we use 90 millimeter plates for this purpose. Now, this picture naman po presents you the different orientation of tube media po, no, namely slant butt media. So when we say slant butt media, it is a combination of a slant media, no, and then a butt media for the purpose of uh, doing biochemical testing po. Okay? So pag sinabing orientation, we just orient, no, or incline, no, your tube media po, no, while it is in the solidification phase, to orient your media in such a way that it will compensate, no, to your needs as your slant butt, slant, or semi-solid. Okay, so typically for slant butt, no, usually your tube media is oriented uh in about 30 degrees, no? Para po yung tube natin, no, it will uh, solidify physically your tube media po in that manner, the slant butt. Now, sa gitna naman po, we can see as a sample of a slant culture media. Not, if you want to do a slant naman, you can orient your tube at around 15 degrees Celsius para po higang-higa po siya and to orient your media in a slant manner. Okay? Now, the last example naman is called semi-solid butt or liquid butt. Now, these two types of media naman po, no, is produced by orienting your tube naman po vertically. So, in 90 degrees, itatayo mo lang po siya in your test tube rack, and you allow your media to solidify or to orient in such a way like semi-solid and liquid type of media. Now, lastly, your culture media also can be classified accordingly based on its purpose or use. So, you can call your media as nutritive media or general purpose, simple, or supportive media naman. So, this media, no, in overview, your nutritive media naman can support the growth of non-fastidious organisms. That is why it is called general purpose media. So in terms of composition, your nutritive media, no, it only contains the simple nutrients mentioned earlier, not to provide um, nutrients to your non-fastidious bacteria or organism. Your enriched or enrichment media naman contains an added supplements or vitamins, not to support naman po well the growth of your fastidious organisms. Now, selective media naman on the other hand, these types of media no, contains what we known as your inhibitors, no, to inhibit the growth of groups of your bacteria and allow only for the growth of the desired group of bacteria. That is why it is called selective. It only selects for the growth of certain groups of bacteria. Now, differential media naman po, it is used for the purpose of uh, grouping or differentiating um, species of bacteria within a certain group of bacteria, no, by differentiating your bacteria, no, based on their phenotypic characteristics, so such as utilization of certain carbohydrates and other purpose as well. So this classification according to use is discussed further on the succeeding slides. Now, according to use again, your culture media can be classified accordingly, no, or classified as chemically defined or complex media. Now, again, for chemically defined media po, so what is chemically defined media? So, chemically defined media po is composed of known quantities of chemically pure, specific organic and or inorganic compounds. So, they usually is used no for research purposes, no, wherein all of the ingredients of your culture media is known to the user. Okay? So typically, it is in the form of inorganic synthetic broths or glucose salt broths natin. Okay? While your complex media naman, it is the exact chemical composition of some of the ingredients in the complex media is not known to the user. So typically, most of the ingredients inside your complex media are made out of extracts of plants and animal tissues, no, or broths, and are variable in their chemical composition. So, typically na makikita niyo sa ingredients ng mga complex media yung mga ah, um, it composed of yeast extracts, no, or meat broths, no, coming from brain or meat of certain animals, no, in the form of broths or extracts. So most of your media, no, we use in the laboratory are all complex media. Now let us define naman po the classification of your culture media according to use. So first again is nutritive media. So nutritive media po contains nutrients, no, that support growth of most non-fastidious organisms without giving any particular organism a growth advantage. So common example of culture media for bacteria which are classified as nutritive is your trypticase or trypticase soy agar or broth and nutrient agar. So, example naman po of fungal media na which is nutritive is your Sabouraud's dextrose agar or your SDA. Now, another is called enriched or enrichment media. Now, enriched media naman po is used no to grow usually po pathogens that require special nutrients no or vitamins to grow. Okay? Now, for example, no some media we can incorporate them by specific vitamins or supplements such as blood no to increase the growth of this bacteria. So this bacteria is known as fastidious organisms in that cause. So example of enriched and enrichment media is your buffered charcoal yeast extract, not typically used to grow Legionella pneumophila. Okay? Enrichment broths naman po, on the other hand, are used usually no, to initially activate the growth of a low number of bacteria in your clinical specimen before plating this specimen po to increase the growth of your or number of your bacteria. They are called enrichment broths. Now, in definition naman po, selective media contains one or more agents that are inhibitory to all organisms except those selected by the specific growth condition or chemical. So, examples now of inhibitory agents which are commonly incorporated in this type of media are dyes or stain, no, salts or bile salts, alcohols, acids, and also as well as antibiotics. So, example of selective media is your phenylethyl alcohol, now which inhibits the growth of aerobic and facultative anaerobic gram-negative rods and allow only the growth of gram-positive cocci to grow. Because alcohol po can kill the majority of your gram-negative bacilli. So in that sense, it only selects for the growth of gram-positive cocci to grow. So that is an example or concept of selective media. Okay? So madali pong mapansin yan in the ingredients pag nakita nyo pong may mga dyes, salts or bile salts, alcohols, acids, and as well as antibiotics. So you can call your media as selective media. Now, to get a better concept of selective media, I have provided you a sample of a media that is non-selective in the left picture and a media naman that is selective. So as you can see in the non-selective, you can see two different forms of bacteria or colonial morphology of bacteria, telling you that this media in the picture A is non-selective kasi it allows for the growth of most of your bacteria. Okay? While in this picture, in the letter B, so you can only see na isa lang po yung colonial morphology growing in the plate. Signifying that this media is selective for that for only for that bacteria po to grow. Okay? Now, the last type of culture media according to purpose or use is called differential media. Okay? So, differential media in definition naman, uses some factors, that allows your colonies po of one bacterial species or type to exhibit certain metabolic or culture characteristic that can be used to distinguish po them from other bacteria growing on the same agar plate. Okay? Yan. So, usually, we detect these differences, in your media or in your bacteria po by detection of specific metabolic products. Okay? And these metabolic products is detected usually by means of detecting certain pHs of these uh, products, through the use of the incorporated pH indicator in the media. Okay? And production of different colors. We can also detect these metabolic products by directly detecting it, as it accumulates or precipitate on your media. Okay, and lastly, we can add specific reagents to initiate a reaction in these products and observe reactions physically in your media. Now, combination media po, typically, yeah, we use media po with a combination of uses, okay, to better identify your bacteria in the laboratory. So, some media that we can encounter in this discussion is a combination of selective and differential media and others. Okay, let's now proceed now on discussing the commonly used culture media in microbiology laboratory. First are your general media called nutrient agar and trypticase soy agar. So let's first discuss the nutrient agar or broth. Okay, it is a type of general purpose nutrient medium po used for the cultivation of non-fastidious microbes. Okay, so ang itsura po niya usually it is a pale brown agar with an ingredient po of common ingredients such as a complex ingredients like digest of casein, extracts of soybean, sodium chloride, and also a pH, a buffer po, for to maintain the neutral pH of your media. Okay? So it also contain agar, if it is a nutrient agar, and if it is a broth naman po, no, it cannot contain agar. Okay? So typical positive controls and negative control bacteria for this type of media is your Escherichia coli, your Pseudomonas aeruginosa po. Okay? Now, trypticase soy agar or broth naman, so it contains naman extracts of beef, no, and casein hydrolysate. It also contains additionally starch, no, and agar po if it is a plated or agar medium. So it is also a general purpose non-selective media to support rin po the non-fastidious growth of your gram-negative and gram-positive bacteria, as well as yeast and molds also for fungi. So your trypticase soy agar can support the growth of bacteria and fungi in the laboratory. Now, blood agar plates naman po are a type of an enriched and differential media, no? Na we also commonly use. Okay, your blood agar plates. You can also call your blood agar plates as sheep blood agar because commonly we use 5% sheep blood, no, to create your blood agar plates in the laboratory. Okay, now, it is called an enriched media because we also add here a type of supplement, no, called blood. Okay, blood kasi is very rich in biomolecules essential to grow fastidious organisms such as hemoglobin, no, or globin proteins, and also some proteins as well. Okay, and sources of nitrogen and carbon. Okay, so it is also called naman as differential because aside from increasing the growth of fastidious organism, we can differentiate also your bacteria here based on their capability to hemolyze blood. Okay? Because the characteristic of your bacteria being hemolytic, no, is one of the characteristic that we detect for your pathogenic bacteria. Okay? So based on hemolytic patterns, so yun yung tamang term po na ginagamit natin, we can identify your bacteria as hemolytic or non-hemolytic. Now, please take note that in terms of hemolytic pattern, your bacteria can be classified accordingly as beta hemolytic, alpha hemolytic, and gamma hemolytic. So when we say your bacteria is beta hemolytic, it can completely lyse the whole red blood cells incorporated in your blood agar plate. It is noted in the plates when you observe your bacteria has a clear zone around the colonies growing in your blood agar plate. So when bacteria grow in your blood agar plate with a characteristic clear zone around the colonies, it is said to be beta hemolytic. Now, your bacteria naman is called as alpha hemolytic when you observe that your bacteria in the blood agar shows a greenish hue po around its colony naman, signifying that the bacteria can lyser RBCs but it in incomplete form. So hindi pa siya tumutuloy in the full degradation of your heme in the blood. Okay? So pag may green hue or green halo around the colonies, it is reported as alpha hemolytic. So alpha hemolysis is called incomplete hemolysis. Okay? So we can also classify your bacteria naman as gamma hemolytic bacteria if the colonies po doesn't have any clearing around its colonies. So it only grows in the blood agar plate. It is reported as gamma hemolytic. So typically, if you procure blood agar, it is in the form of blood agar base. So that the ingredients of blood agar base are the following. So it contains beef infusion, okay, casein hydrolysate, starch, agar, and a pH or buffer for pH. So the typical positive control organisms that we use are the following. So to have a positive control po that we use for alpha hemolytic bacteria is your Streptococcus pneumoniae or alpha hemolytic reaction. We can also use naman Streptococcus pyogenes for beta hemolytic reaction. And for gamma naman, we can use naman po Staphylococcus epidermidis or Streptococcus or Enterococcus bacteria for gamma hemolysis. Now, another plate that we commonly use naman is your chocolate agar plate. Okay? Now, please take note your chocolate agar plate po is another type of enriched media. No, typically used naman po to grow your fastidious organism also. Okay? Kaya nga lang, your chocolate agar plate naman, halos parehas po siya in your blood agar plate. It uses also blood as the supplement nga lang, uses naman po a lysed or heated defibrinated sheep blood. So in the preparation of your blood aggregate kasi, we typically add your sheep blood, no? Kapag yung media po natin is malapit ng mag-solidify or malapit na siyang lumamig. While in the chocolate agar plate preparation, we typically add your defibrinated sheep blood while your agar po is still hot, no? Para po magkaroon ng initiation of the lysis of your red blood cell. So the lysis of your red blood cell is done na po to express no all of the contents of your red blood cell for the purpose of providing these nutrients inside your red blood cell for your fastidious organism. Okay? So typically naman ginagamit natin ito for pathogenic bacteria po, no, na wala naman pong capability to lyse the red blood cell. And they usually needs the nutrients inside the red blood cell specifically. Okay? It is called as chocolate agar plate because of its color naman. So it is brown po kasi. So red blood cells kasi kapag na-lyse, no, yung components niya is brown. Okay? And it is reflected physically in this type of plate. That is why it is called chocolate powder plate. So do not mistake this plate uh, as it contains chocolate ha. It doesn't contain chocolate po, but it is brown po kasi. That is why it is called chocolate agar plate. So please take note in chocolate agar plate, we don't um, report no hemolytic patterns kasi it does contain whole RBCs. Now, for the ingredient of the chocolate agar, no, parehas lang po siya ng ingredient ng blood agar base. In fact nga po, we use blood agar base to produce also your chocolate agar. Again, ang pinagkaiba lang po ng blood agar plate at chocolate agar plate is in the preparation process. We add blood no in the chocolate agar plate no or to produce chocolate agar plate, we add blood no while your agar is still hot. While in the blood agar plate, we add naman po blood or sheep blood po when the agar po is on the cooling or gelling temperature niya. So we typically use naman positive controls like your Neisseria gonorrhoeae and Haemophilus influenzae for your chocolate agar plate because two bacteria po typically no is grown no in a chocolate agar plate subjected in a capnophilic environment, no doing the candle jar technique. Now, a commonly type naman po ng media na ginagamit natin to isolate your enteric bacteria or your Enterobacteriaceae is called your McConkey agar. Now, McConkey naman po is named after the discoverer no, of this type of media. So, your McConkey agar is a selective and differential media. No, it is selective in a sense that it only allows the growth of your gram-negative bacilli called enteric bacilli. Okay? So example of these enteric bacteria that is commonly isolated here is your Escherichia coli. So it is selective in a sense because it contains bile salt and crystal violet dye to kill your gram-positive bacteria naman. Okay? So it is the differential media naman po in a sense because it contains lactose, no, sugar to differentiate your enteric bacilli naman po based on their lactose fermentation. And it also contains pH indicator, no, called neutral red. No, para makita natin kung magiging acidic po ba yung pH ng media natin, no, kapag nag-produce ng fermentation products after lactose utilization. So this is the common ingredients of your McConkey agar. It contains parent peptones or meat extract and extracts of casein also. And it also contains inhibitory substances naman like bile salts, no, and crystal violet, sorry, to inhibit the growth of gram-positive bacteria. It also contains lactose, no, the sugar po that makes it differential, no, and also contains neutral red as the pH indicator to to indicate whether the bacteria utilizes lactose fermentatively by production of acids. Now, these acids will react on the pH indicator, reflecting or changing the color of the pH indicator to pink or red. So that's why we note your bacteria. No, if we observe your bacteria uh, pink or red po na bacteria po sa McConkie agar natin, we report it as lactose fermenter. So kapag naka-observe po tayo ng pink or pinkish or reddish po na bacteria dito sa colonies of your bacteria in your McConkie agar, we report them as lactose fermenter. Okay? So kapag wala naman pong growth or wala pong production of pink or red precipitation of the bile in your colony, so parang white lang po or yellowish yung colonies, we can report it as non-lactose fermenter. Okay? So we can report naman as your bacteria as no growth, no, kapag wala pong tubo dito. So we can signify or we can report it as the bacteria is a gram positive kasi pang gram negative lang po yung McConkie agar natin. So one positive control organism that we use for McConkie agar is your Escherichia coli. Now in this picture shows you the typical growth of your gram-negative bacilli natin in your McConkie agar. So as you can see in the pictures, a positive growth of your bacteria in your McConkie agar signifies that your bacteria is indeed a gram-negative bacilli. Now, within the species of your gram-negative bacilli, also your enteric bacteria, we can differentiate them further by looking at the reaction or color reaction of your colonies. So again, no, kapag nagpipink po or nagpro-produce ng pink colonies po dito sa McConkie, ibig sabihin po noon that your gram-negative bacilli growing in your McConkie is a type of bacteria that can utilize your lactose fermentatively. So we can report your bacteria or pink colonies as lactose fermenting bacteria. So kapag hindi naman po pink, so simply, no, your gram-negative bacilli growing in McConkie is a type of a non-lactose fermenting bacteria. So again, ano po yung components ng McConkie that makes your McConkie differential? It is the lactose sugar and the pH indicator called neutral red. Now, lastly, in your McConkie agar, we can also see specific colonial morphology of certain types of enteric bacteria. Like for example, some capsulated enteric bacteria, no, can produce mucoid colonies, no, very well in this type of of media. So this also picture shows you that this bacteria is indeed a lactose fermenting bacteria because it is color pink. Okay. Now another plate naman po or media, no, typically used then to isolate your enteric bacteria is your Epstein methylene blue agar. So it is used to isolate and differentiate, no, your enteric bacteria, no, based on lactose fermentation also. Para po siyang McConkie, pero iba lang po yung ginagamit natin diyan na inhibitory substances and dyes. So unlike in your McConkie, we use neutral red as the pH indicator and crystal violet as the dye or stain. Dito naman po, it is incorporated naman uh, with eosin Y and methylene blue as the pH, as the inhibitor of gram-positive bacteria. Okay? Eosin Y. Okay? And its pH indicator naman po is methylene blue for the purpose. So dito naman po, ang pinagkaiba lang nito is the color po of the lactose fermenters. So in the McConkie po, it is pink or red, tama ba? So dito naman po sa eosin methylene blue, the lactose fermenters naman po is color purple. Okay? And in fact, this media naman po is typically used to for the purpose po of detecting no, minute amounts of enteric bacteria po in water samples in terms of water testing. Okay? And some enteric bacteria has a special colonial morphology in eosine methylene blue agar. In terms of ingredients po, ganun pa rin naman siya. It contains peptic digest of animal tissues. It contains also lactose, but additionally, it also contains sucrose. No, and ito naman po, it contains eosine Y as the dye, no, instead of crystal violet in McConkey. And it also uses naman methylene blue naman instead of neutral red. Okay? Positive controls po here is your Escherichia coli. So in fact, your Escherichia coli has a special colonial morphology in eosine methylene blue, producing purple colonies with a classic greenic metallic or green metallic sheen in the colonies. As you can see in this picture. So your Escherichia coli is purple here, and it produces a precipitate of eosine Y, producing metallic sheen in the colonies. Okay? And Enterobacter aerogenes naman is purple here also, and it also produces mucoid colonies. Now, another media naman po that we commonly use is your mannitol salt agar. Now, ito naman po, this media naman is used for the purpose of selectively and differentially growing naman po your gram-positive cocci bacteria known as Staphylococci. Okay? So, ito naman, it is a type of selective and differential media for Staphylococci. Okay? So, on the next slide, we will discuss the ingredients, and I will also tell you, what are the ingredients that makes your mannitol salt agar selective and differential also. Now, your mannitol salt agar contains enzymatic digest of casein and animal tissue and beef extract. Now, one of the ingredients naman po of your mannitol salt agar that makes your agar po selective only for gram-positive bacteria is your sodium chloride. Okay? Your sodium chloride naman po kasi, no, it usually inhibits, no, the growth of gram-negative uh, bacteria. Kasi your the gram-negative bacteria mostly cannot tolerate po high amounts of salt. Okay? Also, no, it contains naman po the sugar D-mannitol. Now, your sugar D-mannitol naman is the ingredient that makes your mannitol salt agar differential. Okay? Because not all species of Staphylococcus naman can ferment the sugar mannitol. Same goes with your ano rin po pala, sodium chloride. It is the ingredient in your mannitol salt agar that makes your mannitol salt agar selective naman within the group of your Staphylococcus. Kasi not all Staphylococcus naman po, no, and also Micrococcus can tolerate high amounts of salt. Okay? So typically, your mannitol salt agar contains 7.5% of sodium chloride. It's very high, no? It usually supports lang po mga halophilic organism natin. Okay? So how do we detect uh, the fermentation of your mannitol? So again, fermentation kasi ang product po is acids, and these acids is produced, no? And napupunta po siya sa media. Now, to detect the presence of these acids, we can also use the presence of pH indicator. Now, as in the case of mannitol salt agar, the pH indicator of your MSA is your phenol red naman. So, phenol red naman turns into yellow, no, upon exposure to acids. Okay? The positive controls for your mannitol salt agar is your Staphylococcus aureus and epidermidis. So for aureus po, so it is the only species of your Staphylococcus that has the capability to ferment mannitol. So how do we detect the fermentation of mannitol? So we typically observe the colonies growing in your MSA. So kapag nakita po natin yung media na MSA, naging yellow po yung kanyang color, uh, it shows us that bacteria po ferments the sugar and producing acids that is reacted on the phenol red. So kaya po yung Staphylococcus aureus yung ginagamit natin as the bacteria, no, for the fermentation of mannitol. So ang itsura po ng Staph aureus sa MSA is a golden yellow colony, and yung agar po or the colonies has a yellow halo. Okay? As we can see on the previous slide. So for the Staphylococcus epidermidis naman, it doesn't produce yellow halo kasi it doesn't ferment naman mannitol po. Okay? So it grows lang po on the MSA but the MSA remains pink or salmon pink po in color. Okay? So negative control naman are your gram-negative bacilli, Escherichia coli. It doesn't grow naman in your MSA. Okay? Now, another media naman po typically used, no, again, for the purpose of growing po gram-negative bacilli, especially your Salmonella and Shigella, is your Hectoin enteric agar. Now, your Hectoin enteric agar is also a type of selective and differential media. It is selective because it contains also bile salts, no, to prevent the growth of gram-positive bacteria, and it only allows for the growth of gram-negative bacteria, specifically Salmonella and Shigella for that purpose. Okay? It also contains some substances like sodium thiosulfate and ferric ammonium citrate naman to make your hectoin enteric agar differential. And it also contains lactose. Okay? So, hectoin enteric agar is very useful po in differentiating your gram-negative bacteria based on lactose fermentation. And additionally, it can also differentiate your bacteria based on the capability of your bacteria to produce hydrogen sulfide precipitates. Okay? Kaya po yung hectoin enteric agar, it contains sodium thiosulfate and ferric ammonium citrate for the purpose of hydrogen sulfide. Kasi yung mga bacteria natin pwedeng nagpo-produce ng hydrogen sulfide or hindi. Okay? And to indicate naman the production of acid in the fermentation of lactose here, it contains naman bromthymol blue as its pH indicator. Okay. So in this slide naman po shows you the typical um, itsura or typical po na color of your hectoin enteric agar. So if you happen to prepare a hectoin enteric agar, its natural color po is green because from Thymol blue is reflects green pigment no in neutral pH. Okay? So your hectoin enteric agar is very helpful because it can differentiates your bacteria no, using lactose fermentation and hydrogen sulfide production. Okay? So ano po ba yung color or how do we detect if the bacteria is gram-negative in your hectoin enteric agar? So if the bacteria grows here, no, we can report your bacteria as gram-negative bacteria. Okay? So secondly, we can differentiate naman your bacteria based on lactose fermentation here because lactose fermenting bacteria po in the hectoin enteric agar produces yellow or orange pigments po. As you can see in the growth of Escherichia coli, a type of lactose fermenter or lactose fermenting bacteria. Your non-lactose fermenting bacteria naman po produces colorless or greenish bacteria here. So as you can see in the growth of Shigella flexneri and Salmonella typhimurium, a two classic example of a lactose fermenting gram-negative bacteria. Okay. Now, lastly, how do you now um, indicate po the production of hydrogen sulfide production? Okay. So hydrogen sulfide kasi pag nag-precipitate po in the colonies of your bacteria, um, upon exposure or exposure of those metals precipitated in the hydrogen sulfide production, it will turn your metal into brown or black precipitates. So as you can see in the Salmonella typhimurium here, as you can see here, additionally in the colonies, you can see a black center no in the colonies, signifying that the bacteria utilizes the metals po or sodium or the citrate here no or the ammonium here the metals and precipitate it to produce hydrogen sulfide po. Okay? So pag may nakita po kayong black centers or black precipitate in the colony, you can report it as positive hydrogen sulfide production. Shigella flexneri naman po is an example of bacteria that cannot produce naman hydrogen sulfide. So makikita nyo lang po dito is a clear or greenish colonies without a black center. So typical positive controls now that we use for a lactose fermenting bacteria here is Escherichia coli. So Ang itsura po ng colonies ng Escherichia coli dito is yellow to salmon orange colonies. Okay? Shigella flexneri naman po is a type of bacteria that cannot produce H2S production, and it is a non-fermenting bacteria. Salmonella typhimurium naman po is an example of bacteria that can grow in this hectoenteric agar, but it cannot ferment lactose, pero it can produce black center, signifying that your bacteria, your Salmonella typhimurium, is an H2S producer bacteria. Now, Enterococcus fecalis naman is an example of gram-positive bacteria that cannot be that cannot grow no in this type of media. Now, like your hectoenteric agar, your Salmonella Shigella agar po is used naman po for the isolation po of your Salmonella and Shigella specifically. Okay? Lalo na po pag yung Salmonella and Shigella is recovered from clinical samples like stool, samples like food samples, and clinical material. Okay? So, meron din po siyang special setting or arrangement in the ingredients to specifically favor the growth of your Salmonella and Shigella in clinical samples. But its composition is just the same. It also contains lactose, bile salts, but it also contains ferric citrate, no? And it uses a different type of pH indicator. It uses neutral red, and it contains brilliant green also to inhibit some naman po of gram-negative bacteria besides Salmonella and Shigella. Okay? So your Salmonella and Shigella is a type of selective and differential media also. Now, the typical color naman po of Salmonella Shigella is orange, no, or brown, no, because of its pH indicator. So, parehas lang po siya ng gamit or use, no, in your hectoenteric agar. It can tell you whether the bacteria is gram-negative bacteria, no, because of the inhibitors of gram-pass. And also, it can tell you if the bacteria is lactose fermenter. So, ang mga lactose fermenter po dito is red, no? No, while non-lactose fermenter is colorless or it's colorless po no ng mga bacteria. And it can also tell you whether the bacteria produces H2S by observing the colony's appearance, no, producing black centers or yun po. Okay, so kapag may black center dito, it can produce hydrogen sulfide. So example of Salmonella that can produce black centers here but are non-fermenters are your Salmonella typhimurium or Salmonella typhi. While Shigella flexneri naman po are examples of non-fermenters which doesn't produce also H2S. Now, the last commonly used agar, no, in the clinical setting is your TCBS agar, or what we know as your thiosulfate, citrate, bile salt, sucrose agar. Now, your TCBS agar is primarily used as a selective and differential medium for isolating and cultivating Vibrio cholerae and other Vibrio species from your stool samples or clinical samples and other materials. Okay? Now, what are the ingredients of your TCBS agar that makes it selective for your Vibrio species? Okay, so the oxbile, sodium cholate, and sodium citrate are all of the ingredients of your TCBS that inhibits gram-positive as well as some of your gram-negative enteric bacteria to only allow for the growth of your Vibrio species. Now, the ingredient naman po of your TCBS na 1% NaCl also no allows for the selective growth naman for the halophilic requirement of your certain Vibrio. So yung mga ibang bacteria rin kasi cannot tolerate that high concentration of sodium chloride. Okay? It also contains naman sucrose, no, your sugar, and your bromthymol blue and thymol blue, no, to differentiate naman your species of your Vibrio according to sucrose fermentation. So, hindi na po ito lactose fermentation class, but rather in TCBS, it differentiates your Vibrio species according to sucrose fermenting capability. So, please take note that your bromthymol blue is a type of pH indicator that turns yellow po in exposure to low pH. Okay? So, kapag nagkaroon ng fermentation ng sucrose po yung bacteria dito, so, you detect the sucrose fermentation by observing the color of the bacteria and also the media. So pag naging yellow po yung bacteria or the agar, pag naging dilaw, so it signifies the utilization of sucrose fermentatively. Okay? So and lastly, it also contain it is if you can see here, it has a final pH of around 8.6. Okay? So mataas po ang pH ng TCBS to support naman po the pH requirement of for Vibrio. So your Vibrio kasi po is alkalophile. So it needs alkaline pH to increase its growth. So for the positive control, we can use the Vibrio alginolyticus. So as a type of sucrose fermenting Vibrio. Your parahemolyticus naman is a type of non-sucrose fermenting Vibrio. Escherichia coli naman po will not grow in PCBS because it is inhibited by ox bile. Now, besides on the nutritional requirements po incorporated in your culture media, which is needed by your bacteria to grow, your bacteria also needs environmental factors po for them to grow, such as the proper pH, temperature, and gas composition. Now, your pH po, no, si culture media na po yung nagpo-provide nun, no, because as we have learned, no, in the ingredients of your culture media. So all of your culture media po contains buffers, no, to provide, no, neutral pH for your bacteria. So another example of instrument, no, that provides the gas and temperature requirement for your bacteria is your incubators. Let us now briefly discuss, class, the environmental factors for your bacteria to grow. So first is your temperature. So we can call your bacteria as psychrophiles if the bacteria po has an optimal growth at around 10 to 20%, 20 degrees Celsius. So examples of psychrophiles are your Legionella your Yersinia enterocolitica and your Listeria monocytogenes. Okay? So, mostly naman po of your clinically significant bacteria falls under the mesophilic temperature requirement, wherein this bacteria naman po optimally can grow at around 20 degrees to 40 degrees Celsius. Now, while we can call naman your bacteria as thermophiles if they have the optimal temperature of around 850 no, to 60 degrees Celsius. Now, depending naman po on the pH, no, most of your pathogenic bacteria or clinically important bacteria grows at a neutral pH. So in that sense, we can call them as neutrophiles if their optimal growth naman is around 6.5 to 7.5 pH. So that's why the most of your culture media is adjusted on this pH level, around 7.0 pH level. Okay? Now, we can call naman your bacteria as acidophiles if their optimal pH to grow is less than 6.5. So, mas acidic. Now, lastly, alkaliphiles naman po is used, no, for bacteria with an optimal growth pH at around or more than 7.5 pH. Okay? So, kanina po, example of a media with an adjusted pH for your alkalophiles or alkaliphiles is your TCBS agar for your Vibrio. Which Vibrio nga po is an example naman of bacteria which are alkaliphiles. Now, in terms of oxygen requirement and carbon dioxide requirement naman or other gas requirement, we can use these following terms. Okay? So, we can use the term obligate aerobes in your bacteria if your bacteria po requires purely oxygen for their growth. Now, these obligate aerobes, upon exposure to small amounts of carbon dioxide, uh, they can be killed easily. So, the presence of any amounts of carbon dioxide is lethal to your obligate aerobes. Okay? Obligate anaerobes naman on the other hand, no, cannot grow po in the presence of oxygen at all. So exposure to any amounts of oxygen, no, in your obligate anaerobes is lethal to them. Okay? Now before we proceed to other subtypes of your gas requirement. So typically we detect, no, the gas requirement of your bacteria in the laboratory by using semi-solid media called thioglycolate media, and we can observe the patterns of their growth in this type of semi-solid media, as you can see in the illustration here. So kapag ka nag-grow po yung bacteria, no, dun lang po sa pinakataas or top layer of the thioglycolate media, we can confirm that your bacteria is obligate aerobes. So kapag naman obligate anaerobes, na makikita natin that the growth of their bacteria solely is seen at the very bottom of the media. Because on that bottom, no exposure to oxygen po is on that area. Okay? Now, most of your medically important bacteria naman po falls under the facultative anaerobic requirement. So this bacteria naman po, your facultative anaerobes, can grow either with or without oxygen, but they grow best in the presence of oxygen. So that's why, as you can see in the illustration, so we can say that your bacteria is facultative anaerobe if it grows on the very top of your thioglycolate media, pero may makikita pa rin tayong growth, no, on the middle, no, portion of your media, signifying that uh, uh, the presence of oxygen is enhance, no, the growth of your bacteria. That's why they grow on the top of the media, pero pwede pa rin silang mag-grow on the middle portion of your media, which medyo onti na lang yung oxygen levels. Okay? Now, on the other hand, now, we can also call your bacteria as aerotolerant anaerobes and microaerophilic anaerobes. Now, in definition naman, aerotolerant anaerobes po are those bacteria naman that can survive pa rin, no, in the presence of oxygen. Pero once you expose them to oxygen, medyo tumitigil yung metabolic processes nila, pero buhay pa rin sila. Pero pag nilagay mo ulit sa walang oxygen, mas nagta-thrive naman po sila. Okay? So, but they do not use oxygen in the metabolism. So, in the laboratory, we can say that your bacteria is aerotolerant anaerobes if they have a uniform growth on the whole thioglycolate media or your semi-solid thioglycolate media. Okay? Then lastly is your microaerophile and capnophilic. Now, your microaerophiles naman, so these are your bacteria naman that require a reduced level of oxygen to grow. So typically kasi ang levels ng oxygen in an ambient air is 15 to 21% oxygen. That's quite high, no, for your microaerophiles. Kaya nga po tinawag silang microaerophiles. They usually needs lang po 2 to 10% oxygen for them to grow. Now, to detect whether a bacteria is a microaerophile naman in the laboratory, now you observe naman their growth in the thioglycolate. So kapag tumutubo po sila sa gitna mismo ng media, you can report it as microaerophilic bacteria. Okay? Now, based naman po, kabaliktaran lang, no, based on the carbon dioxide requirement naman, we can call your bacteria as capnophiles or capnophilic bacteria. So this bacteria naman po requires an atmosphere enriched with extra carbon dioxide, around 5 to 10% po. So example of a capnophilic bacteria is Neisseria gonorrhoeae and your Haemophilus influenzae. Okay? So this to produce usually a capnophilic environment in the laboratory, we subject or we put your media, no, with your bacteria in a capnophilic environment using candle jar technique. So literally nilalagay po natin yung plates natin, commonly mga chocolate agar plates, inside a jar, no, and then maglalagay po tayo ng lighted white candle sa loob, may apoy po yung kandila, and then tatakpan po yung candle jar. So automatically, upon the consummation of oxygen and producing carbon dioxide, naturally po ma-extinguish yung kandila natin sa loob. And that extinguishing of your candle is due to the fact that the carbon dioxide inside the environment or the candle jar is increasing it is increasing, no, about 5 to 10% inside the jar. So yun po. Okay. So we are now down to the last portion of our discussion. So which is your preparation of your culture media and quality control. So most of the time, no, we typically produce your culture media in-house. So ginagawa po natin siya using using the raw powderized media natin, and then we typically produce them in-house in the laboratory. Okay? Now the main concept of preparation for culture media is that we need to first see, no, or have a knowledge po of what type of or classification of your media that you will be using according to the dispensation. Okay? So, completed man or tube yung gagawin ninyo. So, dapat po alam nyo po kung anong classification of your media based on of dispensing yung gagawin po nating culture media. Okay? So in the preparation of your media, we need to first know the specific type of media that you will create based on dispensing. So based on dispensing, no, we can classify your media again as plated and tube media. So nagkaiba lang po sila halos ng step, no, because dun sa plated, we use a petri dish na, and then for tube naman po, we use a bacteriological tube. Now, in the process of preparing your media, so it follows a step-by-step procedure starting from the weighing process. So sa weighing process po, um, we compute specifically the dry media that we need to incorporate specifically to your distilled water. And then after weighing, so we need to homogenize them, not to further incorporate those dry and wet ingredients together before proceeding to sterilization and dispensing in plated media. Now, the last step on your media preparation, excuse me, is storage. Now, as you can see in the plated and tube, nagkaiba lang po sila on the third and fourth step. Now, in your plated, mas nauuna po yung sterilization after or before dispensing into Petri dishes. While in the tube media naman po, mas nauuna po nating i-dispense yung culture media natin inside the tube, in the bacteriological tube. And then, together with the tube na may culture media po, tsaka po natin sila ini-sterilize for your tube media. Okay? Now, in this slide shows you an overview of the step-by-step procedure of your plated media and your tube media. Now, in the above example, as you can see here, you can picture that the first step is you need to weigh or prepare the exact amount in grams of your dried culture media and incorporate it to your homogenizing agent, which is your distilled water. So, in the next step, no, you homogenize naman yung dalawa nating ingredient, no, by heating it, no, or increasing the temperature to boil the solution or mixture. Then after boiling, we cannot use pa yung ating culture media, so we need to autoclave it to make it sterile. Okay? And then after nun, so after autoclaving, okay, or sterilization, you allow it to cool muna para yung agar natin um, mag-subside yung temperature hanggang sa gelling temperature niya. Then, tsaka po natin sila i-dispense into Petri dishes. Okay? Then, after dispensing, you allow it to completely cool and solidify. And then, you will now store it into refrigeration in the refrigerated temperature. Now, in the case naman po of tube media, so ganun pa rin naman, you compute for the accurate ratio of your dry and wet ingredients, homogenize it up to boiling, and then dito po, mas nauuna po yung dispensation. So we dispense it in the tubes muna, and then together with the tubes, with the agar, you sterilize naman. Okay? Then after sterilization, so typically kanina po nakita natin or we have learned that based on the orientation of your tubes, you can orient your tubes in such a way that you can achieve the butt, the slant, or the butt slant. So dito na po na gagawin after po autoclaving. Then habang naka-orient po sila, you allow it to solidify completely. Okay? If it is a solid or semi-solid tube media. Okay? Then after nun, so you store na po rin yung tube media natin in a ref temperature. Okay, let's now discuss specifically the different steps of your media preparation. So let's start off with the first one, the weighing step. Okay, so weighing step exists in both plated and tube media to note. So what are the things to prepare in weighing? So these are the materials to prepare. So you prepare a weigh boat using your aluminum foil. You also need to prepare a computed agar powder in terms of grams based on your desired volume uh, to produce, okay, and your analytical balance. Okay, so before starting the weighing process, you can turn on na your hot plate to medium heat para tuloy-tuloy po siya into your homogenization. Okay, so what are the data muna or ano po ba yung kailangan yung data para makompute yung desired desired way, no, that desired dried powder you need to incorporate uh, to your homogenization or homogenizing agent, your distilled water. So una muna, ang unang question dapat is, ano po bang receptacle or ang lalagyan lalagyan ng agar po? Is it plated ba or tube? Kasi plated po, mas madami po yung kailangang agar na nilalagay po per petri dish. In fact, in a 90 millimeter plate, you need to pour approximately 20 to 25 ml of your agar. Okay? So pag tubes naman po depende. So kung ang gagawin niyo pong tube is a slant butt tube, so mas madami po siya ng onte. So at around 7 to 8 ml for butt slant tubes. For butt tubes naman po na liquid, so approximately 3 ml lang naman per tube ang nilalagay. No, pero pag semi-solid po or slant, you can incorporate 3 to 4 ml naman po ng agar natin. Okay? So pag nalaman nyo na po yon, so next question naman is ilang plates or tubes ang gagawin. Okay? For example, plates po yung gagawin po ninyo. So for a 90 millimeter plate, we typically incorporate 20 to 25 ml of agar. So for example, you just need to produce 10 pieces of petri dishes or 10 pieces of plated media. So you just need to multiply the minimum volume per plate, so 20 to or 25 ml multiplied by the number of plates times 10. So ang makukuha niyo po doon is around 200 to 250 ml of media. So typically po nag-add pa rin tayo ng mga 20 ml, no, in your initial computed desired volume, kasi po lulutuin natin yan, so mag-evaporate kasi yung tubig. So we typically add 20 ml pa. Okay? So kung na-compute nyo po ay 200, so the final desired volume to create is 220 ml. Okay? So after po nun, so pag na-compute nyo na po yung desired volume, so titignan nyo naman po yung typical po na tinitimpla, no, na dry agar, no, in a 1,000 ml of preparation. So typically nahahanap po yung constant grams to constant grams per 1,000 ml of your media dun po sa lalagyan ng agar sa mismong ingredient label niya. So ingredients and then instruction of use. So minsan nakalagay po dyan, you just need to weigh 16 grams per 1,000 ml of this of this agar. Okay? Na pag nakuha nyo na po yung desired volume na gagawin nyo, tsaka yung constant agar per 1,000 ml, you just need to derive the formula and compute for the proper concentration. Okay? So to get the total volume of the media to prepare, so again, total plates, no, or tubes to make multiplied by the total capacity of plates or tubes to prepare. Then pag nakuha nyo na po yon, so you just multiply it. So for example, or divide. So for example, the constant grams of agar is 16 grams, no, per 1,000 ml. You just need to divide it and multiply it to the total volume of your media. Okay? So to get the exact volume to weigh of your agar powder. Okay? So in the next slide, I have given you examples for you to imagine and to uh to better understood how you compute for the agar. Okay? Yan, during measurement, so dapat yung ibang members din, nagme-measure na din ng distilled water needed. Kasi we don't want to allow your agar to be prolonged exposed, no, dun sa air natin. Okay? Kasi baka makontaminate siya. So the specific step-by-step procedure is as follows. So make aluminum weigh boats and then compute for the agar. Then measure the amount of water and transfer it to appropriate Erlenmeyer flask. Then after transferring the water, so pagka nagta-transfer po kayo ng water, huwag niyong lalahatin kasi kailangan po natin, pinangwawash din po natin yung remaining water po doon sa matitira doon sa aluminum weigh boats. So you measure naman the agar using analytical balance. So we know na the usage of the analytical balance. And then after nun, you proceed immediately to the next step. Now you mix all the dry and wet ingredients lang. And using the tinabi nyo pong water, so pang-wash nyo po yan. Okay? Now here is the example problem on how you and formula to compute for the desired volume. For example, you are creating eosine methylene blue agar. So plated po siya. So 90 millimeter plates per 90 millimeter plates, usually we use 20 or 25 ml um, of agar. Okay, so how you prepare this one? So typically your EMB kasi we need to prepare a 1000 ml of EMB. So we need 36 grams of EMB per 1000 ml. Okay? So what is the question? So how many grams of EMB na ngayon is needed to prepare a volume naman of 750 milliliters or milliliters of agar. So kung 750 milliliters ang gagawin nyo, so the answer here is that, so yung 36 grams, ita times or i-multiply nyo lang sa 750 ml. So the answer here is 27 grams of EMB is needed, no, for that 750 ml. Okay? So ganun lang siya. So for a broth naman, ganun lang din po. Okay? Iko-compute mo siya based on the number of tubes that you need to prepare. For example, you will create TSB or trimsticky soy broth. So bath lang po ito, 3 ml lang per tube. So for example, gagawa ka um, for example, gagawa ka ng 600 milliliters of TSB. Okay? So, ganun lang din po. So, kung yung TSB po is nakalagay sa label niya or instruction of use is you need to incorporate 29.77 grams per 1,000 ml. You just need to multiply it to your desired volume. Okay? To get the ratio or exact ratio of the TSB in your preparation. Okay? Yan. Now, the next step after weighing is homogenization. So, the things to prepare naman are the following. So, yung measured agar powder nyo from the first step, your Erlenmeyer with your distilled water, steering rod, and hot plates. So, before starting again, other members should prepare a cotton plug na. So, this would cover naman po the mouth of your Erlenmeyer, no, after homogenization and before sterilization. So the specific steps are the following. So transfer all the measured agar powder in the flask, swirl the flask to mix, and place it on the hot plate. Now stir using stirring rod to homogenize. And then please remember, do not let the mixture to boil or overboil. So you just need to dissolve the powder using the heat. So how do you physically see if the mixture is well incorporated na? So makikita nyo unti-unti siyang magki-clear up. Okay? Now after nun, pag nakita nyo na po physically that the media is cleared na medyo cleared na, so you remove the flask na from the iron plate, put the cotton plug in the flask, then cover the mouth with aluminum foil for additional securement. Okay? So I will teach you how to produce these cotton plugs, no, in the actual performance of the exercise 3. Then after homogenization, lagyan na po ng label yung Erlenmeyer flask. So you can use the initials of your media. For example, you are creating blood agar plate. You just write or label the Erlenmeyer as BAP. Okay? Then proceed to next step. Now, in this step po, dito na po nagkaiba kung plated man or tube. So first in the plated media, so the third step po after homogenization is sterilization na. So ang ipe-prepare lang po ninyo is yung Erlenmeyer flask nyo na may cotton plug and foil na, and then syempre yung equipment natin na is na autoclave. So before starting dito, you set the temperature and time of the autoclave, then check for other plates for sterilization like glass petri dishes. So step here are the following. So set the proper setting of the autoclave depending on materials to be autoclaved. And then after nun, is you can place now inside the autoclave yung media po natin and other glass wares natin like glass petri dishes po. Okay? Yan. Also make sure that the contents have proper spacing to ensure proper distribution of steam. Now after nun, close the lid of the autoclave tightly and allow the sterilization of your culture media. Then after the sterilization process on the third step for plated media, so after po sterilize, no, i-dispense na po natin yung culture media natin onto your petri dishes. So the things to prepare are the following. So your autoclave media coming from your autoclave, sterile plates na galing din po sa autoclave natin, or kung gumagamit po kayo ng plastic plates, so hindi na po kailangan yung i-autoclave, naka-pre-sterilize na po siya. Okay? And then, syempre, alcohol lamps. Now, before starting, you let your media to cool down approximately 50 degrees, not too hot, not too cold to touch. And then you prepare your sterile plates. Again, in this step po, lahat dapat aseptic technique na. Okay? So, kasi po sterile na lahat. Sterile na yung media, sterile na yung plates. Okay? So, do not open or overexpose your sterile plates in this step. So, the step-by-step process of dispensing are the following. So first, remove the sterile media from autoclave. Allow to cool before dispensing. So bakit kailangan i-allow to cool? Kasi pagka dinispense agad po ito, mahirap pong mag-solidify yung media natin in your in your petri dish. And pag sobrang init pa po ng media natin, it will create a lot of moisture that will dilute your media rin po. Okay? And also, no, we allow your media to cool at a gelling temperature. So kasi po minsan nag-incorporate po tayo ng mga heat labile supplements and vitamins. So para rin po malamig na yung media, hindi po masisira yung mga heat labile supplements natin. Okay? And then pag nag-cool na, arrange na po yung plates near the edge of your table. Then to facilitate easy control of your flask while pouring. Now, the purpose of your alcohol lamp is to maintain aseptic area, no, lalo na po yung sa mouth ng ating Erlenmeyer flask. So like the alcohol lamp and remove the foil cover and the cotton plugs. Then remove the cotton plug and then flame the mouth of the flask before pouring your culture media onto your petri dish. Now slightly open the lid of the petri dish and gently pour your media. Now approximately 20 ml or half of the plate is put in your 90 millimeter plate petri dishes. Now, cover immediately after pouring to lessen the contamination of your media. Then allow to cool completely and then shake your plate slightly, no, to redistribute the heat and also to prevent, no, the production of bubbles on the surface of your media. Now, on your tube media naman po, mas nauuna po yung dispensing. So, after homogenization, you need to first dispense, no, your culture media using serologic pipettes onto your bacteriologic tubes. So, the things to prepare here are the following: your homogenized media and clean bacteriologic tubes. A screw cap tube is recommended here, okay? And a clean serologic pipettes and bulb, and also test tube racks. So, before starting, you prepare your glass tubes. It is placed na po in your test tube racks po. Okay? And then, for this purpose, the media should be dispensed while hot dito kasi some of your culture media in tubes are solid or semi-solid type. So, habang mainit pa po after homogenization, tina-transfer na po siya using your serologic pipettes onto your clean glass tubes. Okay? And then the step-by-step procedure are the following. So while media is still hot, aspirate and dispense required volume to each glass tube. For your butt slant tubes, the required volume is 7 to 8 ml. While in your slant, no, naman is 4 to 5 ml naman. For your butt tubes naman, depende, you can dispense 3 to 4 ml of your media. Okay? After the dispensing po the necessary amount, replace the cap of all tubes. Okay? No, lagyan na po ng takip. But remember, do not completely tighten the caps. So place all the tubes into a large beaker for ease during autoclaving. Then cover the mouth of the beaker with paper. Okay? Then after this dispensing po onto your bacteriological tubes, you may now sterilize it. Okay? So things to prepare are the tube media and beaker, then autoclave. Though same as plated media before starting, set your autoclave na into the proper setting. Okay? And after sterilization naman, you arrange your tubes in a manner as to how your tubes are oriented properly. Okay? Pero after na po yun ng sterilization. So the specific step-by-step procedure are the following. So set the proper setting of the autoclave depending on the materials to be autoclaved. Then place your tube media and other materials to be sterilized. Close the lid of the autoclave. Then after autoclaving for your tube media, tighten the caps and immediately arrange your tubes based on the orientation. Okay? Kung butt, slant, and butt. Okay? So again, to make your media or tube media as butt slant or slant butt, so you need to orient your tube at around 30 degrees 30 degrees po of inclination. Okay? While to produce naman slant, you need to incline your tubes naman at around 15 degrees inclination. While in your butt naman, you just put your tubes vertically in a 90 degrees angle or inclination or angle in your tube or test tube rack. Now, kapag lumamig na po yung mga media natin, your plated and tube media, so the last step is storage na. So, things to prepare here are the following. Okay? So, the solidified or cooled media na, a gum tape or masking tape for labeling, a permanent marker, and refrigerator for storage. Okay? So, before starting naman, make sure that media are completely cooled na before refrigerating and dapat po ay labeled na po siya. Okay? So, pwede tayong gumamit ng manual permanent marker to label po your media or we can also use automated labeling devices. Okay? Yan. So why do we need to cool muna before storage? So to prevent over build up of moisture in your media. Okay? So step-by-step procedure are the following. For plated media, invert your plates upside down to prevent moist on the cover to be transferred onto your surface of the agar. And then label media po, no? Accordingly. So nagle-label po tayo ng media doon po sa butt portion of your plates, no, or petri dishes. Sa mga tube naman po, doon lang po sa body ng tube natin tayo nag-label. Okay? So for disposable plates, you can write directly kasi plastic naman po siya. And for glass plates naman, you can use gum labels. So what are the ano po information that is incorporated on the label? So the first one is the abbreviated name of the media. And then hindi po dapat mawala rin yung date of production. Okay? Doon po kasi tayo nagbe-base kung ano yung shelf life ng ating media. So typically, the shelf life of the media is 3 months after production. And additionally, for our teaching purpose, palagyan na rin po ng group number and section. So this one is an example of a label, no, for your plated media. So lagyan lang po natin ang initial ng media, NA or nutrient agar, and then date of production. Okay? And then group number and section. So this one naman are examples again of the different orientation of your tube media. So as you can see here, my tube butt or slant butt media, slant media, and semi-solid and liquid type of butt media. Okay? So makikita nyo rin po dito yung label po, nakadikit lang naman siya sa media. So merong pangalan ng media, date of production. Ito may additional po na lot number because this is it is not in-house. Okay? So it is a outsourced type of media. So binili na po siya sa labas. Now, to ensure the quality of and accuracy of our culture media, we need to undergo quality control also. So when a medium po needs to be quality or to be quality, no, it is controlled because it was prepared po in-house. Okay? So typically po kapag in-house ang preparation, so medyo ang daming pinagdadaan ng process. Sometimes po or most of the time, we need to check for its quality. Okay? So there are several basic rules that must be followed. So all media first must be tested before use. So bago po gamitin, tinetest po yan. Okay? So kaya tayo may ginagamit ng mga quality control organism. So para makita kung tama yung reaction, okay, bago gamitin po for batch use. Okay? So each medium also must be tested with organisms expected nga po to grow or give a positive reaction, as well as with organisms expected not to grow or to produce a negative reaction. So again, another naman is the medium should be tested for sterility and pH. Okay? So to check for the sterility of your media, typically gumukuha lang po tayo ng isang media na wala pong bacteria and then ini-incubate po siya. So kailangan pag ini-incubate po siya, walang tutubo kasi sterile nga po siya. Okay? And then sometimes we also use um, pH, pang-detect ng pH po, no? To detect the proper pH of the medium. Now, the organisms selected for QC should represent the most fastidious organisms for which the medium was designed po. Okay? So, QC testing also should be performed according to CLSI or Clinical Laboratory Standards po, Institute recommendations. And also expiration dates must be established. So kaya po tayo naglalagay sa label po nung date of production. So typically, 3 months after the date of production is the expiry of all of your culture media. Now, in the laboratory po, no, to monitor the quality po of your media or prepared media in-house, most of the time, no, we use QC forms po, no, for this one. So QC forms po for user prepared media should contain the following information. So yung amount po na pine-prepare natin para na monitor natin kung gaano kabilis yung consummation ng certain fast-moving culture media. Siyempre yung source of each ingredient din po, the lot number, okay, the sterilization methods used, the preparation and expiration date, and also the name of the preparer. Okay? Kaya rin po yun yung naka-include, no, doon sa culture media natin na labels. Okay? Also, the equipment po that we use to sterilize our culture media are also uh, controlled po in terms of quality. Okay, like for example, no, I think we have discussed this already. So that your autoclave po, most of the time is checked for its quality, no? So, yung kanyang parts, no, chine-check natin. Okay, yung mga gauges natin for temperatures, for pressures. So, chine-check po natin yan accordingly, no? So, based on ISO standards. Okay? Then, in terms of sterilization, no, we can validate the autoclave sterility by using uh, chemical um, uh, chemical indicators of sterility incorporated in tape indicators or autoclave tape. Okay? And also, we can use biological indicators, as in the case of your Geobacillus thermophilus. Okay? Okay, this will be the end of our lesson pertaining to cultivation of bacteria. So I hope you will watch and take note and listen to the this discussion of your cultivation of your bacteria. Okay, thank you for listening, and uh, we'll see no in our face-to-face class on Wednesday. Thank you.